Mac Jones came into the pros last season, was a first-round pick, and managed to put together a 7-game win streak and lead the Patriots to the playoffs because, God forbid, New England have to rebuild after losing the best player in NFL history. Mac had his rookie growing pains, but at the end of the day, he was a reliable guy, and with year 2 coming up, he is ready to break out for real this time. Mac Jones showed up in Foxborough and impressed immediately. He beat out Cam Newton, who was the starter in 2020 and actually ended up getting released during the final roster cuts. Mac looked solid in his NFL debut despite the loss, but he turned around and beat the Jets in week 2. Which, I mean, come on, everybody beats the Jets. Not sure that's too much of a shock to anybody. Jones had some issues throughout the year, especially in week 3. He threw 3 picks and a loss. The next week was one of the most hyped up regular season games of all time, and maybe the most ever. Tom Brady's return to New England, the defending Super Bowl champion Buccaneers against the Patriots. New England lost by 2, and for a minute, it looked like Brady may lose to his former squad. In week 7, Jones won his first ever home game, beating the living hell out of the Jets 54-13. Again, the Jets are just so bad. But that game was more than just a home win. It was the start of one hell of a run. The victory over New York was the start of a 7-game winning streak. New England went over 2 months without losing a single game. And over the span, Jones threw for about 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 2 picks. If there's a single game that encapsulates Mac's rookie year, it's week 13. Patriots versus Bills in Buffalo with super heavy wind conditions. And I mean just ridiculous wind. In Bill Belichick fashion, somehow the Patriots found a way to win, and they did it by throwing only 3 passes. New England won 14-10, and I think that's one of the things Mac did so well as a rookie. He did what he was asked and executed. Mac didn't try to be a hero and didn't try to put the Patriots in a bad spot because he was forcing balls or doing too much. He came in and did his job, and that's one of the biggest reasons why he had success as a rookie. The Patriots did lose the next 2 games out of their bye, but in week 16, beat the Jaguars to clinch a playoff spot. And Mac became the first quarterback to lead New England there, not named Tom Brady, since 1998. The Patriots did, however, fall in the wildcard round to the Bills 47-17. Not great, but it was a promising rookie season behind center. Mac finished with over 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, while also completing over 67% of his passes. He finished second in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting behind Jamar Chase, and Mac made the Pro Bowl. Jones had a good year 1, but that doesn't matter now. It's time to load up for 2022, and there seems to be plenty of optimism that he's ready for a massive breakout season. Robert Kraft, the second most often massage goer in the NFL, said that when Mac was a rookie, he was really respectful coming in, but now he thinks that he has a little more of an edge.
You're dressed in the right color too for bats.
Shut up, bitch!
But it sounds like the biggest thing his teammates have noticed this offseason has been his increase in leadership. Kendrick Bourne, the Patriots' second most used wideout in 2021 with over 800 yards, said that Mac's leadership is just on a different level now. He's more comfortable, more confident, knows what's going on, and he's just more locked in and more secure in his role in New England. Bourne said he connects with all the players and that, like all the guys in the building, he loves challenges. Also, Mac apparently had a hibachi party the first night of the draft, which I now just have to know, how much money do you need to throw a hibachi party? Devante Parker, who the Patriots traded for this offseason, has already had plenty of praise for Mac, which honestly makes sense considering the best quarterback he's ever played with was Ryan Tannehill or Jay Cutler, not exactly elite company. Parker said that even though he'd only been there for a few weeks, he could see just how much Mac had developed as a leader and that that's what New England needs. Malcolm Butler also loves his swagger, he claims. I kind of forgot that was even a word. Ultimately, it's no surprise that despite only being a second-year guy, Mac is already a team captain. With 1 year under his belt, a lot of lessons learned in 2022, and a better understanding of that ridiculously confusing Bill Belichick offense, Mac Jones is looking at a potential breakout season, and it wouldn't really be that surprising. Mac is exactly what we expected him to be, a guy who went to Alabama and was going to be pro-ready. He already knows how to read defenses and process quickly. Mac showed us just how smart he was in 21, and he was just 23. He's going to get better with time, and he's already had some more time to learn. There's still the argument of how high his ceiling is, and honestly, who really knows? But right now, I think he's talented as hell and a reliable game manager. And if New England puts the right pieces around him, who knows just how good he could be. One of the biggest complaints, especially towards the end of Tom Brady's tenure in New England, was the lack of receiving weapons. The Patriots are still far from elite, but New England has made some moves this offseason that may make the receiving room very interesting. Starting with Devante Parker. Parker is a guy that was taken with the 14th overall pick at the 2015 NFL Draft and just never groomed into what the Dolphins had hoped. It felt like he was just always dealing with injuries, and actually, in the one season that he actually played in every single game, he had over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. He showed flashes. In 7 years in Miami, he had 5 seasons where he had over 500 yards. The Patriots were able to trade a 3rd rounder for Parker and a 5th. While I certainly don't expect Parker to blow up and become what everyone thought he could be in 2015, Parker still has plenty of talent at the end of the day. I feel a lot of similarities between him and Philip Dorsett. Maybe it's also because he went in that 2015 NFL Draft in the 1st round, but he just didn't pan out in Indianapolis and eventually landed in New England with another chance. He did get a Super Bowl ring. I mean, he wasn't really that good, but he got a ring. In 3 years with the Patriots, he didn't even have 800 yards in total. Besides Parker, the Patriots also addressed wide receiver at the 2022 NFL Draft, selecting Tyquan Thornton in the 2nd round. Thornton spent 4 years at Baylor, and for the most part, wasn't going to knock your socks off. He had 2 years with over 400 yards, but did have his best season as a senior, recording almost 1,000 yards, plus he was named 2nd team All-Big 12. It's not very hard to find the appeal of why the Patriots loved him. Speed.
I am speed.
Thornton ran a 4.28 40-yard dash, the 3rd fastest at the 2022 NFL Combine. Who knows what it'll turn into, but that speed is just so enticing. Some speedsters work out, others just don't. Tyreek Hill was taken in the 5th round and has made a career with his speed. On the other hand, John Ross got selected 9th overall the next year because of his speed, and yeah, he's just sucked. Hopefully Tyquan Thornton can turn into what the Patriots think he can. And oh yeah, who could forget N'Keal Harry is on the roster, because that matters. The Patriots obviously draft more than just Tyquan Thornton, and one of the guys that is the most intriguing is Bailey Zappe, of course, because he's a quarterback. Any quarterback that gets drafted by Bill Belichick will become this big media craze, and it makes sense. Zappe is an interesting guy. He was at Houston Baptist for 4 years, redshirted his first, and then transferred out to Western Kentucky, where he set NCAA records with 5,927 yards and 62 touchdowns. Zappe is a decorated college quarterback. Will that transfer into the pros? Well, it was Conference USA, not the SEC. When Mac Jones got into the NFL, he had already been playing against elite talent for years during games and during practice. You can't compare a kid that went to Western Kentucky to a guy that went to Bama. Mac Jones was a stud in college, a beast as a rookie, and the best is still yet to come.